Hey everybody. You see the title down below, and this is initially my thoughts on Lockdown last night. Now I didn't watch it, I just basically read it. Well, I did watch a little bit of it courtesy of a free web stream to see what was going on. And to say that it did have its good moments, I'll say this. One thing TNA knows how to do is they know how to put on some good matches. They know how to get people's attention to some good matches, if you will. They know how to do that. So, to me, they did a decent job there. So I'm not knocking them for that whatsoever. I'm not knocking them for that, whatsoever. I'm not really knocking them there. It's more along the lines of, I think what happened afterwards, like the main events, basically the attractions, if you will. Oh, hold on, folks. I'm trying to get this correct. But again, I think it was mainly the attractions, if you will, the attractive matches. The ones that basically tried to sell the event that, got people down a little bit. Now, here's the big positive about last night. And I'll give TNA a lot of credit. They did have the largest crowd in the U.S. crowd in company history. I'll give them that. I will give them that. But I think after last night, and even before last night, I think they've come to realize, you know what? We had our largest crowd here in the Alamo Dome, and we just used like 5% of it. But maybe we need to just focus more on the smaller campuses. And I mean campuses because pretty much what everybody was hoping for in Boston, Massachusetts is going to happen. Aggies Arena, I think that's what it's called, at Boston University is going to host Slammiversary. Yeah, Slammiversary is going to be at Boston University. It's a new arena. So that's pretty cool. And that holds about 7,200 people, about 7,200 people. So that's pretty good. But here's the thing about last night, though, and it really doesn't surprise me that, some people were... Now, some people, I will admit, were okay with it. They liked it, thought it was a solid show, and that's fine. But I think it's because, just like I said last night, in the video before this, mainly the reason people liked it is because you're looking at a generation of people that didn't grow up for the past 30-something years as fans like we did. For 30 years, not 30 years, but yeah, about 30 years, let's just put it that way, 25 to 30 years. 25 to 30 years, I've been a fan of wrestling. I've always been a fan. And in the 90s was an evolution, basically, if you will. That was kind of like the Attitude Era of wrestling. The Attitude Era for the WWE, which helped launch him into the stratosphere and basically dominate the competition, as well as the Attitude Era of WCW, because they introduced the NWO. And, last night in my video entitled What a Week to Be a Wrestling Fan, last night basically, to me, we saw almost identical to what we had seen the week before with Ring of Honor. And that was the fact that something happened that, okay, first of all, I will say this. What happened with Ring of Honor and the expansion of Scum, nobody knew who those new members were going to be. Nobody. Nobody knew who was going to join Jacobs, Steen, or Carino. Nobody knew. But as of last night, pretty much everybody had an idea of exactly what was going to happen with the main event, the World Championship. Pretty much everybody knew Bully Ray was going to be revealed as a member of Aces and Eights. Now, I will admit, it kind of surprised me that they revealed him as the president, but still, it was, but besides that tiny little twist, everybody pretty much knew he was in with Aces and Eights. I mean, I think a lot of people have said that as soon as you saw Devon as part of the group, you knew something was up. Now, there is a little bit of a thing going around, not that much, but a little bit of a tidbit about Brooke possibly being in there as well, because even though she didn't join in the line last night, according to what somebody said, they noticed she was smiling a bit, then she went into the crying mode. So it kind of makes you wonder if perhaps she is in on this. We'll find out on Thursday at the Sears Center. Now, the reason fans felt, some fans, and I'm putting some fans, felt Lockdown was a letdown was because of the fact that even though you had some solid matches before, like, you know, with the opener, very solid opener from what I understand, and you did, and I will admit, they did the right thing keeping the title on Kenny King. Because if you're going to invest this much into someone like Kenny King, and say, hey, we're going to give you the title, we're going to give you a run with it, then so be it. You know? If you're going to do that, so be it. You know what I'm saying? And I think they made the right decision. But, you know, the Joseph Park, Joey Ryan one, you know, more for comedy than anything. Tag team match, I will admit, the last moments I saw of it and the highlights was solid. That was a good one. Rob Terry, Robbie E, but nothing more than like, I guess you could say squash match, I should say, to get Rob Terry over as a face. The Knockouts match, from what I understand, was solid, and obviously it was also used to start the Taryn Tyrell, Gail Kim feud. But it makes you wonder what this whole, how they're going to make, basically you got to find, but to me, what I'm already wondering about this, is this. What's going to be the reason behind Gail Kim and Taryn Tyrell feuding? What's the reason? What does Gail have against her? I've got a feeling it's going to be the fact that Gail doesn't want people like Taryn and maybe Velvet in TNA because they're not really women wrestlers. They're not real knockouts, if you know what I mean. I could be wrong. But we'll just have to wait and see. But I saw the the little scuffle they had when they highlighted it. I even saw the fight behind. I even saw the Gail attack Taryn from behind. So obviously something's going to happen here, and it's got to. I don't know what it is, but it's going to be something. So it's got to be a reason, and I think we're going to find out that reason this Thursday. You know, and what else? What else did we have besides those matches? Well, we had the lockdown matches, of course. We had the cage matches, Briscoe and Angle, and some people thought, you know, it was an okay match. But then, of course, you have people like longtime fans like Brad Rules and who knows who else saying, you know what? You know, it was a solid match, but it just showed that Wes Briscoe's still green. The guy's not ready yet. You know, the guy is not ready for this spotlight. I don't know why they're giving it to him. Because apparently, well, I'll tell you why, Brad. And pretty much you know the answer yourself. Pretty much you know the answer yourself. For some reason, TNA is very high on Wes Briscoe. And like you say, if you get a victory over Kurt Angle, that's a big thing. But, you know, the thing is, though, some people said it was solid, thought Wes did a good job, and then, of course, there were others that felt, yeah, it was a good, that Wes showed a lot of inexperience. And, you know, I will admit that if you're going to put someone like a Wes Briscoe in there, make sure he has a little bit more experience. But they wanted to do it because they're high on the guy. And I guess behind the scenes, Kurt's high on him. So we'll just have to wait and see. And then you had the Lethal Lockdown match, which I didn't see, but apparently from what PW Torch reporters that were there and took pictures, and basically were saying was the fact that the cage was set up, but guess what? What usually happens when all 4 to 5 participants from each team are in there? Basically, what happens when all 8 participants in the match, or 10 in this case last night, are in the match? Isn't something supposed to lower down? Yeah. The lockdown ceiling is supposed to lower down. But guess what? It didn't. And this is what made fans a little disappointed, because one of the main attractions to Lockdown, Lethal Lockdown, is the match. Is the match named after, that the pay-per-view is named after. It's the match that the pay-per-view is named after. That's the main attraction. And there's a lot of fans that are going to expect that ceiling to come down. And when you don't do that, and you have someone as iconic as Sting coming out with his own weapons, it's like, what the heck? It's like, what's going on here? Again, it tells me that as much as I'm happy for the fact that they're on the road now, and they want to start off big, which they did, I guess, in some cases, this is not the way you do it. Especially with your main match, especially with the match that your pay-per-view is named after. You don't do it that way. Now, I'm not going to say that there weren't some, oh my God moments. There were some. There's no doubt about it. Every time you have a Lethal Lockdown match, you're going to have some OMG moments. I mean, the Tower, of course, traditionally you have the Tower of Doom Superplex. They had that. And then to end it all, you had Eric Young hit Nux. Yeah, Mike Knox is known as Nux. With an elbow off the top of the cage. So I admit they had the moments, but still, this is why some fans felt that TNA Lockdown was a disappointment. Because basically, you probably had a solid card up until that moment. And then all of a sudden, as soon as, like I say, you get to your cage matches, that's when some felt it was a letdown. Now, some may felt there were some matches that were letdowns too, with the exception of maybe the X Division match and the tag match, and maybe the Knockouts match. But still, when your main cage match, which your pay-per-view is named after, doesn't live up to what it's supposed to live up to, except for a few OMG moments, then what was the point? And then the main event. This, some people said it was a solid main event. Some felt it was okay. But obviously everybody pretty much knew the result. Now, I will give TNA credit. From what I've read, they were trying to hint at the fact that there could be 3 new members, if you know what I mean. When in turn, there was actually just one. And that was Bully Ray. Now, you might say to yourself, why would they put the belt on Bully Ray? And I know Brad Rules is asking this question. Hold on for a second, folks. I know people like the Brad Rules is asking this question, and I honestly don't blame him for asking, because why would you take it off somebody that can draw people in and put it on somebody that can't? Well, it's real simple. What they're doing, ladies and gentlemen, is using the philosophy that obviously WWE used back in 2005, or 2004, 2005. You know what that philosophy is, folks? You know what that philosophy is? It's put the belt on the person that's going to draw the most heat. The person that nobody wants to see as the champion. The person that people will pay to see who gets that championship off him. That's why they put it on Bully Ray. Not because he's earned it, which let's be honest, he has earned this opportunity, but because he gets the most heat.